Good evening. It's Friday, July 20th, 2007, with Radio Racket Radio News. I'm Kyle DeWitt. A deal between Sound Exchange and Internet music casters is still nowhere to be found, and negotiations seem to be falling apart on a new sticking point. The radio and Internet newsletter reports that record labels represented by Sound Exchanges are now asking for compensation for stream ripping. The Digital Media Association says this is ridiculous because they say the practice of stream ripping is rare and very hard to do. Regardless of who's right, this has brought talks to a near standstill on the heels of the DIMA rejecting Sound Exchange's latest offer because of the issue of minimum fees. Al Sharpton says he won't oppose the return of Don Imus to the radio, according to Radar Online. Sharpton adds that he never said that he didn't want Imus to make a living, but that he will closely monitor the situation. Meanwhile, the New York Post is reporting that Imus has been going to different comedy clubs in search of a black sidekick, according to Bo Dietl, who was a regular guest on the I-Man show. Independent musical acts get a break from Clear Channel. DigitalMusicNews.com says that the radio company is no longer requiring the artists to waive their digital rights to get airplay on Clear Channel stations. Stations began playing unsigned and independent artists as part of a payola-related settlement. Clear Channel recently came under fire from the Future of Music Coalition for the practice. Hendry hits the desert. The latest station to start carrying the new Phil Hendry show is Phoenix's KTAR. That brings Hendry's affiliate list to more than 40 stations in the 2 weeks since his return to the airwaves. Greater Media brings a new show to the Philadelphia market beginning July 30th. The Grand Rapids, Michigan-based morning show Free Beer and Hot Wings will air on a 14-hour tape delay on WNGK from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Contrary to the belief of many message board posters, this is the first time the show will be cleared on a full Philadelphia market signal. It was previously heard in parts of the market on Nassau's 97.5 The Hawk out of Trenton. When the show launches, it will then be heard in a total of 15 stations, or on a total of 15 stations nationwide. With Radio Racket Radio News, I'm Kyle DeWitt.
And as always, it is good to have you with us. Another edition of the Radio Racket up and running for, in this case, the 20th day of July, 2007, for archival purposes. Show number 63. And we're glad you're here. I think it's 63. I'm not 100% sure.
Does it matter?
I thought our voices sounded a bit hollow.
Tinny.
No mic processing. Let's change that right now. Oh, yeah.
Not unlike the beginning of the B-Dub show that reran today on the Cockroach.
Really?
Yeah.
The same thing happened? I know we've done that before.
At the very beginning of the program.
Oh, it sounds much better. Much better.
You like that?
I do.
Actually, something still doesn't sound right to me. It sounds different, but not right.
Sounds okay over here.
Oh, someone messed with my settings.
Well, you're the only person who sits in that chair.
I know. I don't understand.
You have nobody to blame but yourself.
All right. Well, anyway, like we said, let me say it again. 20th of July, 2007. Show number 63. What a week this has been. Not really a big week radio-wise, but here on the Radio Racket, I'm George Brewstar, Kyle DeWitt, and Roscoe, by the way.
What's up?
The consultants are listening. He just opened an hour without introducing himself. That's why he's on the internet. Suddenly the fat Southern payroll lady is now every consultant out there. No? So a very busy week, and not so much a busy week radio-wise. And let's face it, when you feel about terrestrial radio the way we do, it takes a lot to really impress us as far as a big week. Now, there's some cats out there on some of the message boards. Oh, there's a format change in Toledo. Oh, my God. Now, maybe if you're in Toledo radio, that's a big deal. Frankly, if I were in Toledo radio, I probably still wouldn't care, unless I lost my job.
Or you would have hung yourself.
But the thing is, this week, a very busy week, not because of radio, but because of other things involving this show. And that's what I love, because, you know, there was a study, was it the Quinnipiac? No, it wasn't the Quinnipiac, it used to be college, I guess now it's university. They put out all the political polls.
Mm-hmm.
There was some media center at some university did a study on this show. And this professor took hours and hours of our show and broke them down. And remember when they came out with the pie graphs and it said that, well, they devoted 67 out of every 100 hours to non-radio things. Well, that's because, you know what? If we were doing this show 25 years ago, yeah, we'd fill the whole 4 hours talking about radio. But how do we do that anymore? What station is voice tracking what shift? MGK has moved its second stop set of the hour from 46 to 49. I mean, what do you talk about?
There's not that much going on.
Stop sets never fire on time anyway.
So I love the fact that we have enough things regarding this show. As we say on the website, the show that is more interesting to listen to than the radio it talks about. The show has become a parody of itself.
Hey, it's guy talk.
We never use that term, and thank goodness. Although WIP uses that term off-air, but never on-air, right? Never on WIP will you hear the guy talk station.
Not in official, liners or anything, but they'll mention it.
But they do.
The hosts will mention it.
Dedicate portions of programming to non-sports related topics. Like
exactly.
Tuesday nights are the movie nights.
And that's a good way of thinking about it, Roscoe, because I would say what sports are to WIP is what radio is to this show. The common theme is radio. The common things that we talk about usually concern broadcasting.
It's the bond.
It is the bond.
It's the bond between all of us.
All of the Racketeers, that is the one thing in common. They all...
brings us together.
Exactly. But that doesn't mean we talk about radio nonstop.
Absolutely.
Stand by for a second.
What are you doing?
Is that better? No, it's not.
Sounds the same to me.
Sounds the same? Never mind.
You just don't keep your mouth very close to the mic. I've noticed that.
It depends on the microphone.
But you've always used the same mic.
That's true. I used to keep my mouth closer to the mic, or I'm not anymore.
No, you rock your head back and you move all around, but you're never close to the mic.
I'm afraid my lips will touch the mic, and that's a very disgusting...
But you're the only one who uses that mic.
Doesn't matter.
Point well taken.
Anyway, that's a diversion.
Yes, it is.
The point that I'm so desperately trying to make is this week and the weeks leading up to this week, when Marc in Connecticut said he was coming to the show. When did that first come down, Kyle? A few months ago?
6, 7, 8 weeks, maybe.
Okay, so a couple of months ago. And then, about 4, 5 weeks ago, the date was set. And then there was all this drama. Is he coming down? Won't he come down? Odds on whether or not he'll come down? Wagers being placed for amusement only. All kinds of people talking about... This week, I counted no fewer than 16 different threads on the Radio Racket forum. Not about Clear Channel, Greater Media, CBS, Don Imus, PPM, Stream Ripping, CRB. No. 16 threads about the Marc in Connecticut trip to Philadelphia.
Let's not get into radio. I'm so sick of radio.
So, this all culminated this week. Now, remember last week, as recently as 1 week ago, Marc was talking about maybe not coming down after he had spent all that time, and we followed him through the drama of not getting the time off, and then he did get the time off, then they tried to take it away from him.
Now I'm going to buy a laptop.
Yeah, and then he stands up for himself, everyone was proud, and then what does he do? I'm thinking of buying a laptop computer.
As if there are no computer stores here in King of Prussia.
Well, I don't think that was the concern. I think the concern was the funds that he had allocated for this trip. He was going to reallocate for some fancy schmancy laptop. And it wasn't a fancy schmancy. It was a Walmart, like a $300 deal, if I recall, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, Marc is here. And he is with us in studio tonight. Even early this morning, we still were not sure whether or not he would indeed be here. Marc came into town. When did you get here, Marc? Was it yesterday?
Yes, it was yesterday.
Is his microphone on?
Doesn't sound.
Pot's up. Is it on?
Hold on. Take
smack
the
it?
pot down for a second there. Let me see that microphone if you could. Thank you.
How did I know that
We had to deal with this a few times. Pot it up. Is it on? Is it on?
Nope.
It's not on.
You're plugged in, you're potted up, I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know. It was working fine in test mode. Kyle, let's see what you can do with that here. But and I'll keep talking. Well, sounds good to me.
Yeah, I told Marc on the ride over, you got to really smack that.
That
thing
happens
hard.
from time to time.
You got to give it head.
The best thing to do is to do what Ludell did. Remember, Ludell would be in mid-sentence, and he would hear it just cut out, and he'd start whacking it, and he's still talking the whole time. He never missed a beat.
Because what I have to say is important.
Yeah, at least until this gets resolved. All right, so Marc, you came into town. You took the train from Connecticut.
Correct.
You took the train from Connecticut. Where in Connecticut?
Berlin.
Okay. And how long was the train ride?
Do they have a wall there?
About 4 hours.
4-hour train ride.
Were you scared on the train?
No.
The trains go fast, you know.
Now, you came into 30th Street Station, 30th Street. What time did you get in yesterday?
About 10 after 11.
So, now, are you sure it wasn't 11:09? It was 11:10, right?
And all was well.
You came in yesterday morning. All was well. You had a rental car in your name, an SUV, right?
Yep.
We talked about that on the show, over the phone, a few weeks ago. You said a few weeks ago, you said the reason you were getting an SUV was because you had just gotten your driver's license a few months ago, I guess, right?
Correct.
You're 25 years old. You had just gotten your driver's license, and you were involved in a vehicular wreck not long after getting your license, right?
Just a minor fender bender. 2 of them.
Two of them? Oh, I didn't know about this.
He says it with a smile, too.
So you became, I guess, you developed a fear of driving, is that it?
For the first couple days afterwards, yeah.
But you said that you had never driven on highway, correct?
Correct.
Never. You had never driven on a highway. So this was going to be the first time you had ever driven on a highway, because to get from 30th Street Station to King of Prussia, where you were staying and where we are, the most direct way would be via the Schuylkill Expressway. Now, anyone who knows the Delaware Valley is well aware and has heard all of the jokes about the Schuylkill Expressway, and most of them for good reason. It's a horrible, horrible highway.
It's a phenomenal road if nobody's on it.
If nobody's on it,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Cuts direct where you need to be.
3 in the morning, man, it's yours.
I mean, here is a road that was really obsolete the day it opened,
Right.
in the early 50s, and has not really expanded at all, with a few minor exceptions. The third lane in each direction that was put in, I guess, in the late 60s, around after City Line Avenue, going into the city. There were some modifications, but for the most part, one of the nation's just absolute worst and deadliest highways, and that is the inaugural experience for Marc's driving on the highway. And it didn't go too well, did it?
No, it was almost fatal.
Now, you keep using that phrase, almost fatal. What do you mean? Did something specifically happen? Were you cut off?
Both. I was cutting off. People were cutting me off. I was cutting people off because I was really not driving very well.
Well, that's not very considerate, Marc.
Yeah, why were you cutting people off, though?
Not on purpose. It's that I was not used to the steering on that vehicle. That vehicle steers a lot differently than my car.
Well, okay, but I can understand it taking a few minutes to get used to, but you that's still no excuse for cutting people off. Now you.
Well, the best defense is a good offense.
I understand that, but what happened? Your blood pressure went up. Your anxiety. You started panting. You had a full-blown anxiety attack, right?
Yeah.
That's what you told us yesterday. You're frightened. You wanted it to end at any point. How many miles is that, Kyle? What, about 12 miles, I guess?
Probably,
something like
11
that
or 12.
from 30th Street to 202?
It's not many.
Sounds about right.
So you were doing about 60, 70 miles an hour.
15 or 16 at most.
And, the whole time you were just praying that this would end, that you would get to your destination, right?
Yeah.
At any point did you consider giving up and just getting off the highway at the next exit and just taking a breather?
No.
Well, I'm just curious as to why.
I was just concentrating on getting to the King of Prussia exit without killing myself or anybody else.
Now, and we should remind everyone it was an SUV, and the only reason you said you were getting an SUV was to avoid this happening to you, right?
Correct.
But it still happened, nonetheless.
It backfired.
So, all right, you get to the hotel, and Kyle and I, and Roscoe too, we get an email from one Paul Walker, right?
Is he listener X? Who's listener X?
He would have been Paul Walker. Yeah, at this point, I don't even care.
Whatever.
I gave up on that.
It's Big Bird After Dark!
I was saying that all week last week.
Watching Sesame Street with daughter.
Well, Hannah's got the Sesame Street DVD now, and every time Big Bird comes out,
Come back!
But nonetheless, Paul emails us and says he gives us Mark in Connecticut's cell number, and says, "You must call Mark ASAP. It's an emergency." So I'm thinking, oh God, what happened? Is he lost? He probably needs directions. Either that, or he's calling to say, "I've changed my mind. I'm not coming."
I canceled the trip.
Even though I think the email did say he was in Philadelphia.
It did say
So
that.
I remember thinking, okay, at least he got here in one piece. And my next thought is, oh my God, what the hell happened? He crunched up the SUV, right? And what else could it have been?
That's what I thought.
Either that or he's lost. So we call you up. Now, we didn't get this message until a few hours later. We call you up. Remember this, Mark? And we had a very interesting chat. Kyle and I called you together. We had a very interesting chat for, what would you say, Kyle, about half hour?
Yeah, it was a half hour.
And that was a very, very bizarre conversation, Mark. You were, now, you correct me if I have any of this wrong. You were paralyzed with fear. Right? You said you had been pacing your hotel room.
Yes. As I was talking to you on the phone, I was walking back and forth.
He was pacing back and forth. And what I was telling Roscoe last night, I said it reminded me of the opening scene in What About Bob?
Oh, yeah.
Where Bill Murray is in his apartment, and he's just freaking out, and he's pacing back and forth, and oh my God, he's afraid to touch the doorknob. And that's what I was picturing you. I said, Mark is probably going beside himself in this hotel room, not too far from where we are right now. And that indeed was the case. Hours after the incident, you were still very traumatized.
Yes.
Why do you think you didn't calm down right away? Was it just so horrifying? Was it something that you were not expecting?
I wasn't expecting all the trouble driving that thing.
Now, that whole experience took, what, 15 minutes?
About 20 minutes, yeah.
You didn't encounter any real traffic, which is unusual for a Friday or a Thursday.
Well, you got into 30th Street at what? A little after, like around 11 o'clock?
It was time that about 10 after 12 when I left the station.
So lunch hour traffic, it's not that bad.
Well, usually inbound traffic is worse at that hour than outbound.
You probably would have rather there had been traffic, because you would have had to go very slow.
That's a good point, George.
For once, someone would have enjoyed traffic. But alas, it did not happen. And you were very upset. And you told us that the trip was a bad idea. You're already in your hotel. You're here. You've spent $700-800. You spent 3 weeks putting together an itinerary to the minute, and boy, do I mean minute. And you're here You took a week off from work, almost lost your job, cussing out your boss to get the time off from work, and as soon as you get here, you tell me the trip was a bad idea, it was stupid, I'm going home.
Makes sense to me.
I mean, right, do I have the story right? That's exactly what happened.
That's 100% the story.
Okay, yeah. So the racketeers out there saying George is exaggerating again. This can't be. No. I mean, this is exactly what happened.
And George does exaggerate, but this is not one of those
times.
Not
this time.
I'll give you that.
So Kyle and I, we call you back and you tell us that you spoke with your mother, right?
Yes.
And your mother told you to come home at once.
Mark, you have to come home.
Yes, she did.
Does she sound like that, Mark?
No.
No.
She doesn't sound like Rocky from Rocky and Bullwinkle. No.
Mark, you have to come home now.
Is that more like it?
No.
She smoked 3 packs of Marlboros? That's what the Kyle sounded like.
Come home now.
Either that or what is it? Darth. I never watched the Star Wars things. What's the one in the Star Wars? Who sounds like that? One of the Star Wars.
No, Darth Vader.
Is that Darth Vader?
Yeah. I'm Darth Niles.
So, anyway, but we talked you into staying, and that was not easy, but we did do it, and I'm glad you're here, Mark.
Any regrets, Mark?
No.
That's good.
We do. We have regrets.
We do?
Yeah, we have a few, and we're going to talk about that because, and I don't want to tie up the entire first hour with this, but trust me, later on in the show, we will be talking about last night at the Audubon Ale House.
Oh, yes, we will be.
Yes, and we could do the whole 4 hours on that. So, anyway, Mark is here from Connecticut, so after 25 minutes now, there's your big introduction.
Yes, welcome to the Sonic Set building.
Thank you for having me.
We're glad you're here. We didn't think you would be here, but as of yesterday, you were saying first thing in the morning you were going home.
Are you nervous right now?
No.
Really? Well, that's good. Do you remember,
Good.
And you may remember this,
Did you move your bowels today?
that's unnecessary. That you don't need to answer that.
That's a good question.
Here's the thing. Now, we called you back a second time. Do you remember, Mark?
Yeah.
And remember at one point in the conversation I said, would you mind if we rolled tape on the conversation? You remember?
Yeah, I remember.
And at first you said, no, please don't. Why? And I said, because this is good stuff for the show.
So
and you said no.
Instead of George hitting the stop button, he continued to roll tape and
No.
continued to ask permission.
No, that's not. Then I asked him again, though. And he said no. I asked the third time. Okay. So, click, and tape started rolling. So
See, a good salesman never stops at the first no.
That's true. So, I'm just going to give you a short oral peek into what we went through yesterday. Yeah, this is me, Kyle, Jeff, on the horn with Mark in Connecticut. This is just the entire conversation. I don't know where within the conversation.
And this was about, what, 5 o'clock yesterday?
This would have been, I don't know, Kyle, what time was this at yesterday?
I think it was around 4:30, 5 o'clock. Do you remember, Mark?
I would have to look on my cell phone.
Yeah, I think it was around that, 5, 6 o'clock in that range.
Now it figures for some reason I'm not getting any sound here. Did you call did you call the rental car?
No.
What were you going to tell them?
There was some kind of excuse or something.
Why? Oh, okay, now this is where, okay, keep in mind now, you also told us yesterday, you said you're never driving again, at least while you're here, and that you were never driving on the highway again. And I said, ever? And you said, yeah. And you said you're not going to drive here anymore, so the itinerary's out the window. I said, you're not going to sightsee, you're not going to see anything. I said, well then, how are you going to get the rental car back to 30th Street Station? You said you were going to abandon it here and tell them they had to come and get it.
Mark and I had a conversation in the car on the way over here about that.
Because you can't do that, right?
I never said I was going to abandon it here. I said I was going to have them come get me and and bring it back to 30th Street.
And what did the rental guy tell you today?
No.
You did call?
Yeah.
And they said no.
Yeah.
So you will be making another trip on the Schuylkill Expressway, Mark.
And of course, Jeff, I think, offered to drive it for you, but as we pointed out, your rental agreement most likely prohibits that, correct?
Well, I still think he could do it if I'm riding shotgun.
Are you sure? I don't know how that works.
I don't know, because I do with my car at home. If my car has to go somewhere and I ride shotgun, and my parents drive it sometimes if I'm in there, because my car is only insured for me to drive at home.
Yeah, but it doesn't really work that way, right? I mean, you insure the driver's insured, not the car, right? All right, well, here's what happened. Boy, I would love to have a tape of that conversation with the rental car place. Not just tell the truth.
Mosquitoes. No, excuse. Oh.
All right, let's practice this. I'll be the rental car company. What rental car company was it?
National.
All right, hold on. You're calling National tomorrow, okay? National Rental Car. Hello?
Hey, could you do me a favor?
Who is this?
I rented one of your vehicles.
It's Marc in Connecticut.
You what? You rented one of our... Okay.
Yeah, can you send somebody to pick up my rental car at the hotel?
Where... Okay, what is your name?
Mark.
Uh-huh. Now, when you called them today, you just said, hi, it's Mark?
No.
No, Marc in Connecticut.
Mark.
Are you considering staying...
But Mark, I mean, listen, I mean, you've come all this way already.
Now, this is Kyle trying to talk some sense into him. This is as Mark is saying, I'm leaving first thing in the morning, I'm not... And you were literally holed up in your hotel, almost like in these hostage standoffs. You know, you were... That's what some of the email, they said, George, the way you described it, it sounded like there was a standoff at the Macintosh.
Like Munich in 1972.
I mean... It's not going to be... I mean, you're within walking distance to the mall. You can go there. You can do things. And then, just come to the Sonic Set building for the show tomorrow. And, like, you're already here. I mean, you survived the drive. There's, now you just drive. Now just don't drive.
All right. Now, see, that's what we didn't understand. Why... Your mother insisted that you come home right away, right?
It's like running. Yeah. It's like running 25 miles of a marathon. You got one more mile to go. What the hell? Why turn around and go back at that point?
Roscoe, it's even more ridiculous than that, because what purpose would be served by you going home? You would be driving just as much either way, so you have nothing to gain and everything to lose. And then I brought up another good point. I said, Mark, I know what you're going to do if you do indeed go home. You're going to go to that supermarket where you work at, right? And you're going to tell your boss, the same boss you cussed out last week because she wouldn't let you take this trip, and you said, I am going on this trip, I've spent $780 on this trip, I am going. And you're going to show up there and say, Jim, could I please get my hours back?
Can you schedule me for this weekend?
Trip was a big mistake. And I said, if you do that, you'll be the laughing stock of that supermarket.
You'll
be
come
the joke
back.
of aisle 11. You'll be the, so...
the joke of aisle 11.
So, was I right, though? I mean, I'm right.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. 100%.
And you were going to... That thought did cross your mind,
Yeah,
right?
it did.
Now, is your boss listening to the show tonight?
No.
That's probably a good thing, because, Roscoe, you were saying some things on the board this past week about his boss, and you've never even met the woman or even seen a photograph, right?
What did I say?
Wasn't it like a MySpace account or something? You said she was ugly?
No. Diamond Joe pulled up a MySpace account that he thinks was her. Mark said it wasn't, but I just made a comment that she was unattractive.
Okay. Mark, what is your mother's phone number? Oh, this is funny. We're not going to play the part with the number, of course. But this is funny. Mark says he's not going to give us his mother's phone number. We said we were going to call his mother and talk some sense into her. But Mark said, I'm not going to give you my mother's phone number.
I can give it to you.
All right, what is it? Area code, 860? And then he says yes, right?
You should be working in sales.
No, it would be 203 where he lives, I think.
What is it, Roscoe?
It's 860.
And then he gives it to us anyway. Now,
and the funny thing is, I knew it had to be 860. I just mentioned the 203 to get him to say, no, it's 860.
Now here's the part where he says he's not giving us the number, so then I say, okay, we're going to digit by digit figure it out. 860. All right, what's the next?
I'm not going to give it out.
All right, I tell you what, you don't have to give me the number. Let's play a game of high-low.
And meanwhile, George has got the number right in front of him.
Well, no, I didn't at the time.
Oh, you didn't do because your parents' number's listed. You do realize that, right? It's a listed number.
Yeah, somewhere.
And we found it.
I'm going to name a number from 0 through 9 for the first digit of the exchange, and you simply tell me
Why don't you just call her for us? You don't have to do three-way on your telephone? I don't know how to do that.
Oh.
I just know how to make phone calls and get through voicemail. That's about it. Texting.
All right, 860. is the first digit a 7?
No. Oh, wait a minute. Well, just look up her name in the phone book, George.
Higher or lower? I already tried.
Anywho.com.
I already tried. It's not on whitepages.com. Yeah, the one I looked at, it didn't. Maybe I was spelling Bramhall incorrectly. Anyway, so that's how it went yesterday on the phone, and we were very persuasive. He's here, so it worked.
Mm-hmm.
But it was funny updating the Racketeers on the message board yesterday as this was unfolding. And that was in real time. As information was coming down, I was putting that up there. And then that's finally when the decision was made that when I went to the ale house, I said, I'm passing right by the hotel. I'm going to swing on by the Macintosh on the way to the ale house. And you had told me what room you were staying in. So I just wandered right in there and just went right to the third floor. And a funny thing happened, though. I forgot the slip of paper with your cell number and the room number. But I was pretty sure I remembered the room number. And I go up to the room, and I hear a female voice coming out of the room. And one of those "Do not disturb, we're having sex" signs on the doorknob.
Oh, so you did meet that woman?
No.
He just
headbutted the microphone and broke it.
Bumped his head into the microphone. That's okay. You don't need that. Just leave it off. It doesn't.
Yeah, more hassle than it's worth.
But it turns out you were indeed in there, and the female voice I heard must have been coming from the room opposite it on the hall, I guess. But why did you have the "Do not disturb, fornication going on" thing hanging from the door?
So I was on private time to myself without anybody bothering me.
Oh, so that's what you were doing, private time. Well, we get it.
I don't understand. Okay, private time. Who would have been bothering you? Like the maid and...
Could be.
But you knew I was coming. I told you, I'm like, Mark, I'm showing up there, and I'm taking you to the ale house.
That was a subtle way of him saying, go away.
No.
Was that really what it was?
No, absolutely not.
But you knew I was coming. Why did you put the "Go away" sign on the door?
I forgot to take it off.
Oh, okay. All right. Because, everyone was talking about getting you an escort, and you refused. And then there was talk last week on the show about going to a strip club, and you refused that as well. Then we found out last week that you had never been to a bar, which is,
it's weird.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that's usual. It's not normal, but it's okay. But no, it's certainly not normal. It's an interesting story. So last night at the Audubon Ale House, your first time ever at a bar, right?
Correct.
And you had said last week that one of the highlights of this trip, before you knew it was going to start with a disaster on the expressway, was that you would get to meet the lovely Amber at the bar, remember?
Yes.
And you did.
Yeah, I did.
And what did you think?
She was slamming hot.
Slamming hot.
Smoking hot.
George, cut that up, please.
All right. Duly noted. So at least you had fun there. Now, we also found out last week that you had never had a beer before in your life as well. You only had 2 alcoholic beverages when you turned 21. You bought a 6-pack of Mike's Hard Lemonade, correct?
Correct.
And you drank, 1.5, 2 of the 6-pack?
2 of them.
Did you pass out?
No.
No, what happened was your mother found out you were, I guess, hiding the bottles in your room.
No, I wasn't hiding it. It was just I put it in the fridge.
And she got very upset.
Yeah, she's like, "What is that shit doing here?"
And
did she use that word specifically?
Yeah, she did.
Did she realize you were 21?
Yeah.
But she still said no.
She said, "No, you're not allowed to have that."
Well, your mother's
a
real killjoy.
I'm just curious, is there a problem there, or was there a specific reason?
Relatives with problems? No.
So you ended up pouring it down the drain?
No, I kept it at my father's house. At the time, my parents were separated.
I see. Okay, so last night you had your first beers ever, and you chose to drink the Heineken, right?
Yes.
Well, first he started off with some Cokes, I guess, to sweeten his tummy a little bit.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. But he did have the Heineken. Now, the big discussion on the message board were these Irish car bombs. And one was made for you, and it sat there for 2 hours in front of you.
And Amber said she was going to help you down one. And you did not take her up on the offer.
You did not take her up on the offer.
And you just said yourself that she was slamming hot.
Smacked ass.
I don't know what to tell you.
She was rubbing his back and everything.
I know. You know, and I saw all of this, and he still wouldn't drink it. So we'll talk about all kinds of things, and there's some radio talk too. So it is the radio.
Oh yeah,
Racket.
that's right. Radio.
Audio 18.
This is about radio.
The stream rippers that Kyle was speaking about on the news. This is so nonsensical. It's they're grasping at straws. Anything they can find out to stall this now, they're going to do. It's ridiculous. We'll talk about that. Don Imus, do you think he'll be back on? He will be.
Yeah, he'll be back
very soon. And it'll either be on WFAN or another New York station. And I think I know what the station is. I'll tell you about that later on as well. And also we have the PPM Cume numbers that I would imagine by now most of you have seen. We'll talk about those as well. This 104 doing very well, certainly better than the previous Spanish format before it. And just some interesting things here. Brokered Jr.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
He's in the chat.
What? Did we say we're not calling him that anymore? Because I don't want to be disrespectful.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever you want to do.
I mean, it's a cute name. It's funny, and I would like to think Mike has a sense of humor. But he did his show last night at 9 o'clock. And unfortunately, we couldn't hear it because we were at the Ale House with Marc. And we'll always be at the Ale House on Thursday nights at that time. So Mike, move your time slot, and then we'll be able to participate.
Yes, kindly reschedule.
But I did hear the show. Diamond Joe was nice enough to tape it for me. I did hear, stream rip it, if you will.
Diamond Joe always ready to help a brother out.
He says it's Mr. Phillips, thank you.
Mr. Phillips?
Yeah, that's what he says.
Oh, I don't know if we're going to be that respectful. That's a tough one. But
where do you see him in the chat? I don't see him in here.
He's using the name Trish.
Why are there two Trishes?
Oh,
one's Broker Jr.
How do you know?
Oh, okay.
This is very strange. This is a story all to itself.
Who else types out Mr. Brewstar?
Was he trying to backdoor us or something?
I really don't know.
Okay, now Trish did call in to Mike's show last night.
Yes, which we need to chat with her about that.
That's interesting too, and I don't even know where to start with this. Now, my thoughts on the show itself aside, we'll get to that later. But here's what I would like to address. Now, not surprisingly, Mike got a few crank calls.
Shocker.
One of them sounded like Jeff. Again, we don't endorse it as a show. What Jeff does on his own time is his business, right? We've talked about this before.
Well, we've had lengthy discussions about this.
I said, when you do this, you are not representing the show. You're just doing it. But that being said, that it was an interesting show from what I heard today. But here's where I am annoyed. Now, last week we heard from Dennis Marcucci, remember? Mm-hmm. Who I hadn't talked with in a number of years.
Right.
Formerly of Channel 7. And now it's since come out that he is posting on the board. I forget the handle, but it is indeed
Doo-Wop Vault.
Yeah, right. That's it. Doo-Wop is posting on there, and I guess he's. I don't know, and maybe if Mike wants to chime in later in the show, he can explain. I guess Dennis is working in tandem with him on this, or I know they work together during their day job or night job, if you will. So I understand that the Dennis is a big fan of Mike's efforts, right? But the thing is, Dennis called in not once, not twice, 3 times. Now, it's only a 1-hour show. Dennis called in 3 times.
The lines are jammed.
And at one point, and also on Radio Info, made an allusion. He never said the Radio Racket.
Right.
But he made an allusion. Now, keep in mind, last week, when we hung up with Dennis, I thought it was a very amicable phone conversation.
He's very complimentary towards
you. Yeah, and I was looking forward to, I thought maybe we'd get together for lunch and, things like that.
Did you get the $90 you were owed?
Well, no. Here's what happened. I emailed him, and then I never heard back. Mm-hmm. And then I see this stuff on the message board where it almost, like I said, the allusion was to the fact that it was as though every crank caller
was right.
Was connected to this show, and it could not be further from the truth.
I heard about the last 25 minutes or so on the cockroach this afternoon, and a majority of the crank calls that I heard, I did not recognize the voices.
So I don't know who they were. Now
I have no idea who they were.
Now, Jeff, I know one of them was you, which means you did it from the Audubon Ale House.
I don't know what you're talking about, but whatever.
You know, I don't know who most of them are. I mean, I really don't. I recognized, I think, one or two others. But I don't appreciate the references on the board that, well, any show now that gets crank called, it's got to be the Radio Racket.
Stop being professional, and I'll treat you professional.
So, anyway, the chat, unfortunately, I can't monitor that and host show at the same time. I know you guys could, but I'm not smart enough to do that. So, you guys, I guess, update me on the phone, and you can tell me what you thought of that. And, I don't know. I don't know. They're saying, I do see, though, that they said California Joe called in.
That's what it says. He's never even called our show, has he?
And what's that all? That's something we've been meaning to bring up on the show as well.
Yeah.
I don't think I've given out the phone numbers at all tonight. Consultant would be just stark raving angry over this.
That's why we don't employ them.
Philadelphia, 215-609-4315. New York and everywhere else, it's 718-841-7702, audio 18, and the Radio Racket.
I still have to listen to the show. I have not heard it yet.
Marc in Connecticut is here, and you can chime in and talk about a variety of different things.
We're going to talk about Marc's dance last night.
That's right.
Oh, I forgot all about that. Yeah.
There were so many things going on last night.
We have photographic evidence of it too.
Yeah. Oh, there are pictures of you. Now we got Amber. I'm not going to. That sounds horrible. We got Amber to dance with you. That's not what happened. But you and Amber were dancing to, what was the record that was playing?
I don't remember.
It was Michael Jackson, I think, wasn't it?
Billie Jean. Billie Jean.
He doesn't even remember the song. He was so.
I just remember that. It was a sexy girl, real sexy girl.
All right.
I had like 10 beers and I remembered the song.
But you have pictures of this.
Oh, yes. I'm going to be, stay tuned to the Radio Racket forum. I will be uploading it to a server near you where you can all check out the pictures.
Let's go to the phones. We're going to start off tonight with the New York line on the Radio Racket, audio 18.
Hello.
Hello.
George.
Yes.
Dennis.
Talk to me, brother. What's going on? You're blaming all this on us?
No, I am not. No, what I said was, I don't know where you read the quote of, it's the Radio Racket's fault.
Well, no. Dennis, I specifically said that nowhere did you...
And I did email you back. I did email you back. Now, whether you got the email or not, I have no idea. But I mailed Kyle. I emailed Kyle one, and I emailed you.
So you did get my message then?
Oh, I did, and I emailed you right back.
Okay, I don't know what happened.
I also emailed Kyle.
All right, I'm sorry. I never got it. I'm sorry.
It's in that pile of 1,500 messages in your inbox.
Okay, well then, if that's the case, do not say that I did not email you back.
Well, no. The fact that I have, and it's 1,300, but the fact that I have, actually, it's 1,288 right now.
Okay.
Very nicely done.
But no, I can still see
by date
the subject by date. So some of those go back to a year ago. As Kyle knows, I responded to one of those.
Still getting the plus.
Okay.
I wish Kyle a happy Thanksgiving. But anyway, all right. Well, Dennis, I'm sorry I didn't get your email, and I'm glad to know that that you did send it to me again. But no, nowhere I specifically said nowhere did you actually say it was the Racket. But it kind of. I got a few emails from people telling me, "Oh boy, Doo-Wop Vault is blaming the Racket." So I went and I saw it.
Let me clear myself. Okay, let me clear my name. Clear myself. Okay, let me clear my name. Number one, I said, and you know who you are. That's what I said on the board. Okay, now I heard from someone that Roscoe admitted calling and cranking the show.
Well, no, actually, he has not admitted it. It was him. Anyone who heard the show knows it was him, but he actually has not admitted to that. But even when he did that, that's what he does. He is acting as a private citizen.
Something. Well, let me say this. When I am talking about a serious subject, as I was on the show, when I'm talking about a serious subject, I do not expect people to call up and make jokes and crank a show that is trying to talk about a serious topic. Now, of course, if you're doing, if you're messing around and having a good time on the air, you're talking about light subjects and so forth, fine, okay? But when there is a serious conversation going, I think it is in very, very bad taste to call up and crank a show during a serious topic.
Okay,
It just doesn't make sense.
Dennis, keep in mind that nobody can hear WNJC outside of a small area at night, and certainly where we were. In fact, we even tried.
You went into your car.
I even went out to my car.
You got the Hartford station.
I got WDRC out of Hartford on 1360.
Which Mark is very familiar with.
So it's not. But Dennis, hold on. So the point is that Jeff. And not that it excuses any juvenile behavior, but Jeff had no idea what was going on the show because he couldn't hear it. He was at a bar.
Why would you crank a show that you can't hear?
To mess with you, I guess that's what he's. I mean, I don't know. I didn't do it.
Well, again, I mean, that's in very bad taste. That is very juvenile.
Well, you've got Roscoe right here. Tell him yourself. He's right here.
Hello.
Yeah. I mean, Roscoe, come on. I mean, you're supposed to be a radio professional yourself.
He is a radio professional.
Then why would a radio professional call up another radio station and crank them, knowing that it's unprofessional to do so?
Well, of course it's unprofessional, but it's funny, and we get them here too. I mean, it's not like we're immune from this stuff.
Yeah, well, if you get them, how you take the calls on your own show, how you take them, whether you take them serious or whether you have a good time with them, whether it makes you angry, that's up to you guys there, okay? But as far as I myself, I do not like being cranked when I'm trying to talk about a serious topic. It's just in very bad taste.
But Mike it wasn't your show, though.
But Mike had you on the air.
Mike took the call. You were there?
I was online.
You were on the line. Why would he take another call while you were talking?
Because maybe somebody was calling to respond to the topic that I was talking about.
Dennis, well, then your issue's with either Mike or the call screener at WNJC.
Well, they don't have a 5-second delay. So it's kind of hard.
Well, that's pretty dumb for a radio station.
It is. I agree.
Without a safety.
See, but there's one thing I have to clear up here. You're saying that I was I hate paraphrasing and I hate embellishing. So, what did you say, that I was a fan of Mike's or something? Or
who said that?
George.
Wait. I'm sorry, Dennis. You mean I was suggesting that you were working with Mike more or less on the show? That you were you were supporting.
What I was trying to do is, number one, I don't care whom it is. If someone is trying to get a show going and they're not kissing corporate radio's ass, I will support them, and I will try to give them a hand. I will call in, especially if they happen to be acquaintance of mine. I will call in to try to maybe get some conversation going. I will support anyone that will not kiss corporate America's ass or become a broadcast prostitute by playing from a playlist, number one, or number two, having the owner of the station say, you better tone down your rhetoric, or
playing from a playlist, Dennis, that's Radio 101. You can't have jocks picking their own music.
I'll tell you something, George. All this crap started with the going back to the Alan Freed days with the payola scandal. That's when this crap started.
That's largely correct. A lot of it was timing, Dennis.
But we're getting off topic here.
Yeah, I know we are skewing way off
topic. Well, just to finish my thought, if any radio station would contact me or made an attempt to contact me and just saying, we would like you to come on, I will never. I have thousands of cuts downstairs. I have 45s, man, that cost from $600 to $10,000 a piece. They're so rare.
Okay, we all have lots of. I mean, I'm a DJ. I have thousands of records downstairs.
Right. But the point being is that I will never ever play from a playlist.
All right, well, then you're never going to work in radio, Dennis. I don't know if it's
no, I will, because I have something brewing right now, as a matter of fact.
Well, you let us know when that develops. But getting back to this Mike Phillips thing, though, we're up against the news. We only have a couple of minutes. We're up against the news.
Sure.
You said that we should have all been aborted.
Yes, and everyone is freaking. Are you in the chat room, Dennis?
No. What I said was, and again, I did not know it was you guys. That was for anybody that is calling cranking a show. What I said was, and my exact words were, this is why I'm a staunch advocate of abortion, because if their mother would have gotten one, they would not be calling here and being a burden to us.
Okay, so you think...
Well, that's professional.
So you that doesn't sound like a very professional thing to say on the radio. You're talking about others being... So you're saying that Jeff's mother should have terminated the pregnancy 30-some years ago.
Start being professional, and I'll treat you professional.
I mean, that's a horrible thing to say.
I'll tell you, and going along with that, we would not have none of the Bushes today either. So I mean, it goes without saying.
All right,
they've caused all the world's problems.
Are you related to Mike in some way?
No, I'm not. I'm just. I met him at the station at Channel 7 years ago.
Well, Dennis, let me ask you
we
this.
We only have 30 seconds.
Crank calls aside, was it a good show last night?
As I told Mike, I said, there are improvements to be made, such as staying away from the and the you-knows and things like that. And he has to work on his, there's something. Look, you can be on the air for 20 years, and there's always improvements to be made. I still listen to my old shows from URD and NJC. I still listen to them. People think I love listening to myself. No, I keep listening to find out where I can improve at. And you always can make improvements.
Okay, why was he shouting into the mic the entire hour?
Well, I guess because of his lack of experience from being behind a mic.
But see, the thing is, you're saying he's on the board. You said he's an amateur, he's a newbie, give him a shot. Meanwhile, he's on this show last week saying, "I'm a veteran. I've been around. I've been around before you, Bruce Starr," which is obviously not true.
Well, George, do you remember?
Which is the story? Is he a veteran or is he a newbie?
Do you remember, George? Do you remember back in our days? Do you remember when you were? I don't know if it was. While you were on the air, you would say that I am a broadcast professional, just joking around.
Right.
Do you remember those days? Okay, well, I guess this is in the same vein, right?
I guess so, but see, the difference is he means it, I think. I didn't mean it.
I'm not in Mike Phillips' head, so I don't know if he means it or not, but I guess I was just taking that as being...
Dennis, hold that. Can you hold on through the news?
Absolutely.
All right, hold on through the news. Sonic said owned and operated 18 America. We're coming back with the exciting second hour. Oh, and things are heating up here at the Radio Racket. I'm telling you, baby.
Good evening. It's Friday, July 20th, 2007 with Radio Racket Radio News. I'm Kyle DeWitt. A deal between Sound Exchange and Internet music casters is still nowhere to be found, and negotiations seem to be falling apart on a new sticking point. The radio and Internet newsletter reports that record labels represented by Sound Exchange are now asking for compensation for stream ripping. The Digital Media Association says this is ridiculous because they say the practice of stream ripping is rare and very hard to do. Regardless of who's right, this has brought talks to a near standstill on the heels of the DIMA rejecting Sound Exchange's latest offer because of the issue of minimum fees. Al Sharpton says he won't oppose the return of Don Imus to the radio, according to Radar Online. Sharpton adds that he never said that he didn't want Imus to make a living, but that he will closely monitor the situation. Meanwhile, the New York Post is reporting that Imus has been going to different comedy clubs in search of a black sidekick. That's according to Bo Dietl, who is a regular guest on the I-Man show. Independent musical acts get a break from Clear Channel. DigitalMusicNews.com says that the radio company is no longer requiring the artists to waive their digital rights to get airplay on Clear Channel stations. Stations began playing unsigned and independent artists as part of a payola-related settlement. Clear Channel recently came under fire from the Future of Music Coalition for the practice. Hendry hits the desert. The latest station to start carrying the new Phil Hendry show is Phoenix's KTAR. That brings Hendry's affiliate list to more than 40 stations in the 2 weeks since his return to the airwaves. Greater Media brings a new show to the Philadelphia market beginning July 30th. The Grand Rapids, Michigan-based morning show Free Beer and Hot Wings will air on a 14-hour tape delay on WMGK from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Contrary to the belief of many message board posters, this is the first time the show will be cleared on a full Philadelphia market signal. It was previously heard in parts of the market on Nassau's 97.5, The Hawk out of Trenton. When the show launches, it will be then heard in a total of 15 stations. With Radio Racket Radio News, I'm Kyle DeWitt.
Ladies and gentlemen, from hell.
Was it hard? Was it hard to find that to loads your mind? Did you take control with the vows that you broke? Was it so hard? Could you lose? How's it feel wearing shiny new shoes? You said you wasn't so shoes, you said. It wasn't so hard. It wasn't so hard.
Was it so hard? He's French. Lead Man. It's one of my favorites on the unlicensed music
Lead
catalog. I dig it.
There is some good stuff on here, I will admit.
I think this is one of them. I dig it. I
Florida Nate says it's gay.
Oh, yeah, he's gay, so I put it on a CD.
Don't say that.
I like the song. I put it on compact disc. I have it in the car.
You and Baby jamming to this song?
Absolutely. I'm trying to really get into this stuff because if I can't play your RIAA crap, then I'm not going to listen to it either. Except at the Audubon Ale House and at Steffi. You know, if I'm doing a gig, obviously, I need to play what the people want.
Trish says this sounds like elevator music. How many elevators have you been in lately?
Yeah, really.
Trish, do you know what elevator music is?
Oh, God. Oh, speaking of elevator music.
The old WDVR, like back in the 70s, that was elevator music. Percy Faith is elevator music.
I was watching on YouTube. Oh, man, YouTube is such an addicting website. An old radio commercial from 1982, WKQX in Chicago, 101.9, or no, 101.1, the present-day Q101, and you know some of the old radio commercials where they have like these, everything's kind of goofy. They have in one of the shots in this 30-second commercial, you see the bellboy operating the elevator operator operating the elevator, and he said, "I love WKQX because there's no elevator music." And he's operating the elevator.
A lot of those commercials, and still today, are really national spots where they just localize them with the tag, like the famous early '90s WMMR commercial that ran with the heavyset guy dancing. You remember this, right? With the boombox. That was actually a syndicated spot that was used for many stations, but did very well here. You know, everyone was talking about that. That's how you know you have a good, successful advertising campaign. If you can get people to talk about it when they really don't need to be, but they're still talking about it. That's how you know you're doing your job. All right, let's wrap up here with Dennis. Was nice enough to stand by during the break there. Dennis, now you are what is your handle on Radio Info? It's like Doo-Wop something, right?
Doo-Wop Vault.
That's right.
My show.
Doo-Wop
Vault. Right.
Now you were getting into it with a few people this week, though, on the board. Now I looked at the post in question, and here you say that.
Well, I posted one today, and it was cut off. It was the board. I guess it was the board moderator would not release it. So.
Oh, I don't know
Yeah, it
about
was in
that.
response to that Carney feat, or whatever the hell her name is. Yeah, she's a real pedantic, so...
All right, now, pedantic aside, you were saying on the one thread about the crank callers to the Mike Phillips show that they claim they're a bunch of broadcast professionals, yet they don't act that way. And that's,
very RJ.
And that's why everyone, I think, assumed that you were
that's
indeed...
an insult. Them there is fighting words where I come from. Go ahead.
Well, but I mean, it's almost a direct quote.
You know what the funniest thing is? Like, everybody from every walk of life, like, what's the one thing in common?
No one likes
Nobody
RJ.
likes RJ.
Even Mike took a shot at him. I mean, hey, we
He's
were
going to call in one of these nights. You son of a bitch!
We were very glad to have Mike call last week, and
That was a good call.
Yeah,
I mean, the beginning was very entertaining, but he mellowed out and was civil.
And he should know that. I mean, we directed many listeners his way.
Oh, absolutely.
And
and we're doing the same for Broker Jr.
Well, no, that's what Kyle's talking
That's what I'm
about.
saying.
Well, the reason I said that, and the reason I said that, is because you had said on your show last week that you were going to tell a bunch of the Racketeers and a bunch of people on the board. On the board, there's a lot of people who are involved in broadcasting that are on the board, the message board.
Mm-hmm.
And so I figured that it had to have been either maybe one of you guys or maybe someone from the board who's involved in broadcasting, but somebody was cranking that show because they are the only ones. Since Mike did not do any advertising like I suggested that he should do, and he did not do it, but so the only advertising he had was on the message board, which is covered by a lot of people involved in broadcasting and your show.
Right.
So I figured that it had to have been somebody involved in broadcasting because they are the only ones who knew that the show was going to be on.
I understand.
Yeah.
Good save. That makes sense. I'll buy it.
It does make sense. Yeah, nobody
No,
else knew.
I'm not lying to, to say that you'll buy it. I mean, whether you buy it or not, it's up to you, George, but it's the truth.
Okay.
Well, but he also had a mention in the daily news.
If I knew that it was specifically someone from the Radio Racket, I would have said specifically Radio Racket.
Now
but I was not going to blame people when I was not sure, but I knew it was someone involved in the broadcast industry.
You couldn't tell it was Roscoe's voice because he didn't even attempt to throw off his
No, I
voice.
really did. This is my second time listening to the show, so it's third time. Yeah, and I really did not know Roscoe's voice really well.
The FBI is listening.
You
to
should
the
go.
tapes right
He
now.
should go into the chat room. There's some people who have a bone to pick with Dennis in the chat. I understand.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Your
need
chat
to,
room.
on our Radio Racket forum.
They're
You go.
encouraging me to hang up on you.
my comments about that socially debauched rap music, I guess.
I don't know. Well, Mark, you're a big hip hop fan, aren't you? You like that stuff, right?
No comment.
Why no comment? Why not? What's the matter? You stick up for your stuff here.
No.
Your peeps.
No, he said no. All right.
Okay.
Well, I tried. You know, I tried. Well, Dennis, for what it's worth, you know, I don't play that stuff at my hops, but you know, and I've been saying this for a while, and you guys know this, that it is coming to an end. Not an end, but it's definitely on the decline now. You're finally seeing the scourge of non-stop ghetto, what do they call it? Gangster rap is finally not dominating airplay and music charts all over the place. So that is coming to an end.
But, you know, if you guys are really, I mean, I know that you're a fan of old radio shows, right?
Oh, sure, I am, yeah.
Okay, well, you know, if you go onto Rocket Radio, again, with an IT, not an ET, Rocket Radio, the owner of the station, who's in Ventura, California, he has a whole list of old radio programs going from the 50s, 60s, and 70s of a lot of the big names in...
Okay, I thought you were talking about OTR, like real, like 30s and 40s.
No, not
shows.
that old. No. Mainly like
I
rock
like
and roll and things like that from the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
All right,
he has Jocko Henderson, Alan Freed tapes on there, CDs, a lot of the Wibbage Boss Jocks. I mean, the Wibbage Good Guys, the WFIL Boss Jocks, and things like that. And we're able to find those on there.
Internet is amazing. There's all kinds of stuff.
Broker Disco from
Broker
30
Disco.
years ago. Yeah.
I wonder if there's any RJ stuff on there. He didn't make the cut, I guess.
I mean,
well, no, we were playing frisbee with those. So.
And truthfully, Des, we really don't. We don't.
Plays disco.
He does. We don't wish any harm or any bad upon Mike. It's just, and none of us has a bone with brokering shows. It's just,
that's another misconception that seems to have been thrown out there, and I can understand how that developed.
Right.
It's not really the case.
Because I say that, because every time I hear someone speak about Mike, and the reason I take it personally is because I hear broker this, broker that. So it leads one to believe that brokering is like, I even responded on the email again.
But that's not the
case. But what did I say on there? When you said you had admitted publicly, and that leads me to believe that when you admit something publicly, that you were ashamed of it before.
No, Dennis. George has brokered his own stuff.
Well, that's what he's talking about. I have openly admitted.
No, we have nothing against brokers.
It sounds like somebody's coming out of the closet for being gay or something.
No, it has nothing to do with the gay thing.
The reason we give Mike such a hard time is because he's a goof.
He exhibits many of the same qualities as RJ. That's all
It's very true.
Mike has a habit of being verbose at times. I have to admit. When he used to say, I'm a star in Kensington and Fishtown and so forth.
Well, no, he doesn't like Kensington. He likes Port Richmond, right?
Port Richmond. Right?
Oh, you just went down a few notches in his book.
Listen, look, I am not going to, I'm going to talk to people and say to them what I have to say to their face. I'm not going to badmouth them behind their back.
Well, then you should go in the chat room right now.
He does. I will. But he does have a habit of being verbose at times.
But see, the thing, Dennis, is...
all in all, he's a good guy.
Dennis, the crank calls, I would argue, adds to the show.
I think it does, but
it adds to the show.
A certain segment, it does. In certain segments, it would.
Okay, but Dennis, if you're going to do a public show and take open phone calls on a station that has no safety net, no delay, then you've got to be prepared to deal with
that's
something
true.
Like that.
Exactly. You're absolutely right.
It gives him something to talk about because he really is a goof.
Well,
no, come on.
Okay, we need to move on. Dennis, I have a quick question though. Did you hear Mike's call last week at the end of the show?
No, because I was having trouble getting your internet site. No, not the site. I was having trouble logging on to the. I didn't know that you have to log on when it says Audio 18. You click Audio 18, and then that news page comes up, and it has nowhere on the news page what to click on to get the show.
We've heard ever since we redid the Audio 18 site. Some browsers are picking it up goofy. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it shows up on mine.
It's all going to change within a week anyway. All of this will be fixed.
No, but I got it because I just got my cursor and just started clicking on everything I can find.
And then you heard
what would come up, and then finally I got it. So
one final question for Dennis. Dennis, did you send George the $90?
George says he wants to get together.
Yeah, I said,
and I was going to give him the $90 then.
Yeah.
Even better.
We're going to do a big, like a photographic. You can get, just like we talked with Tom Kelly about, you go get one of those big, oversized fake checks that you can present me with. We can take a photo op out of it. You know?
Try taking that
and I'll be running up the steps like they do. I'll be running up your steps like they do with the Publishers Clearinghouse.
There you go. Yeah.
Try and cash that at the PNC.
The whole thing taped. All right. Well, Dennis, thank you, and tell Mike. It's nothing personal. We wish nothing but the best for him. We're not trying to tear him down. Some of the stuff that happened on that show was pretty funny.
I'll tell you something. I did really get the feeling that when all these crank phone calls were coming through, that it was a direct attempt to sabotage the show.
No, Mike.
That's not right.
See, the thing is, Mike likes the attention. That's what I gather from it.
Again, like
RJ. Negative or positive?
Some people like any attention.
As RJ says, I don't care what you say. If you say it, say RJ. Or what was the thing he used to say?
That's why he was responsible for cutting the power off from the station. That douchebag.
And Donald Trump said the same thing. Donald Trump, one of the most successful men in America, said the same thing.
Well,
any publicity,
Dick Clark.
Any publicity is good publicity. So Mike should be thanking him.
All right, Dennis, thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, guys.
Appreciate it. And send me that email again. I never got it. I don't know.
Well, yeah, George, by the time you go through your 1,300, man, I'm going to be on Social Security.
Well, no, but the thing is, I at least look at the subject. I don't open them, but I at least try to scan through the grid and see, what's good. As RJ says, we do siphon off some of the trash. All right. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Dennis. Mark,
what it comes down to with
everyone in the chat's all pissed off.
Right.
Oh, they are.
With our issues with the brokering of the RJ show and the Mike show, it is just in the fact. There are many people across this country that have made small fortunes brokering radio shows.
And people on those very same stations.
That's just it, though. RJ isn't one of them.
And RJ's not one of them. And
I don't think Mike's going to be one of them.
Exactly. My gut says Mike's not going to be one of them either.
Mike's best bet is to just keep doing what he's doing. I think he should be doing it on the internet, it's not costing him a fortune.
Right.
But keep doing it. Get practice. Don't be upset when people criticize him. Take advantage of the criticism, and then hope that maybe one day he'll get picked up.
You're gone.
I mean, what did we do when we had Glenn Macnow on and that East Coast Bob guy started cranking us?
That's right.
We fucked with him. We had a good time.
Yeah.
You know, like, if Mike takes it all personal and gets all pissed off about it, the rule number one of being a talk show host is to have fun with it.
He never once on that show, I didn't hear him go, ooh.
Going south.
And he didn't say you're going south.
No.
Has he dropped those from his, I don't know.
Repertoire? You know, but we do. We wish him well, but I mean, he was in the chat earlier. He's like, I'm giving it, 7 more weeks.
What was that all about?
I don't know, 7 more weeks of the part. You really think you're going to get advertising and all this stuff in 7 weeks?
Well, he might get advertising if he can convince, say, if it's someone he knows. And that's how we have a lot of ours. These are all people we know.
Convince sponsors it's a different show he's selling.
But no, I mean, you're never going to pick up listeners on 1360.
Right.
You're going to, just like with a stream, which is why he should be on a stream, you have to go out literally and earn every single listener. There's no built-in tune-in to that radio station. It's not like even YSP with its lackluster ratings. Still, it's YSP. People, if you're on that station, people will find you.
Right.
Nobody is finding anyone on a low-power AM station out of Deptford on the high end of the dial.
This is kind of like when I was back at Westchester on the AM carrier current station at Westchester University. Nobody's listening to
we had one of those.
Yeah, people think, although
half the transmitters are broken. I mean,
don't get me started on these college stations. Some of them are very good, but some of them, you get these literally, I was going to say sophomoric, they're literally sophomores, running some of these stations who think they're like the Mel Karmazan of the campus, and they're micromanaging every little thing. I called such and such at her dorm and said that last talk break was terrible. You're fired. I was elected GM of the station. I don't know what a real GM does at a radio station. I'm the general manager of Carrier Current Power 1640.
It says it right here on my business card.
Should we offer
the sound of Sanderson Hall or some crap like that?
Should we try to get Mike on Audio 18?
I've thought about it.
I think it'd be a fantastic idea.
I've thought about it, but I would need to sit down with him and talk things over. Just to make sure, I would need to know that his vision for the show is compatible with our vision for the channel.
And we'll give him a rate cheaper than NJC.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I think that's a given.
Or maybe double the time. Give him 2 hours for $80 or something like that.
And when you're doing radio, I think that's even more important. You can't do a 1 hour show. It's just, it doesn't work. Television, you can do that, but not radio.
Yeah. And, hey.
I have the highest rated hour on 15 for not anymore, jackass.
He obviously,
I'm not worried about the 50,000 watts.
Mike obviously knows some people. He had Scott Graham, and he did get
what was that
Kim
all about?
Douglas.
Now, why was it last week when we had Scott Graham? Oh, Scott Graham, he's not that good of a guest.
Right.
When we had him, he was no good. But now,
special guest, Scott Graham.
He's known to party and all this stuff.
That has anything to do with it.
Anything.
We had Scott Graham on when he was newsworthy, when all of that his leaving the Phillies was in the news.
Ooh.
And now out of nowhere, he couldn't get Tom McCarthy, so he gets Scott Graham on.
Well, now supposedly Tom's going to be on next week.
And what happened to the big name? The columnist stood him up, right?
Yeah, and he has a post on his MySpace page. He copied the email that he got from Dan Gross,
which you're really not supposed to do, I don't think. But
that was very Julius-like. But Dan,
so now he's not just like RJ; he's like Julius.
Dan said he totally forgot. And he apologized and said he would love to come on at a later time if he would have it.
All right, well, there you go. All right, Philadelphia, 215-609-4315, 718-841-7702, New York, everywhere else.
California Joe brings up a good point.
What's that?
What happened to the ball girls? Where were the ball girls?
Yeah, where were the ball girls?
They were out effing bat boys.
Oh, wow.
We're all here tonight. Mark in Connecticut is with us to the Philadelphia line on the Radio Racket.
Hello.
Hello. You're going south.
It's one of the jokers.
New York line. Hello.
Hey, I think that the brokerage show on 1360 and all the prank calls were occurring because, as you said, there was no delay.
There was no... Who are we talking with?
This is Tim.
This is Tim.
Chicago.
Tim in Chicago. New listener? Who's Tim? New listener?
He's new to our forum.
Oh, okay. Oh, is this the Tim...
From Insight.
Tim Burke?
Yeah.
Okay, hi Tim.
Yeah, welcome.
We saw you. I saw your name on the thing. I didn't... well, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. You were saying about they didn't have a delay, and you think that's why most of them got through, right?
Yeah, because, I mean, as was said earlier, because there was no delay, I think that was a vulnerability.
Right. Now, Tim, real quickly, are you talking into the phone or near? Something just doesn't sound... Are you hearing him okay? I'm having trouble hearing him.
He's a little low, but he's not.
Okay.
I'm on a cell phone.
Oh, well, that's the trouble.
Yeah, that's the trouble right there.
Okay, so they don't have the delay. I also think another part of it, we talked about this last week on the show, and I don't know if you heard the show last week, but when Mike was on Channel 7, he got a lot of crank calls, and I'm going to tell you why, because he went around to his neighborhood. He lives in a section of the city. He went around to the neighborhood doing what is probably the right thing and promoted the hell out of his show. Now, I don't know how he did it, and I don't know how he did it this time, but I would imagine he called everybody he knew and put up signs all over Port Richmond and down in South Philadelphia.
Port Richmond, you got a voice.
Listen to me. And let's face it, knowing what we know about Mike, there probably are many people who've never set foot in a radio station who still don't like him. Mm-hmm. And they saw he was on the Port Richmond Star, did a front page story on him this week.
No.
So, yes. So, yeah, if anyone could forward me a copy of the Port Richmond Star.
Something tells me the Port Richmond Star doesn't have a website.
They did
a circulation.
I'm guessing that many of those people, the same people who crank called him on Channel 7 15 years ago, were probably in full force last night. So that didn't help either. Now, Roscoe got through. In fact, you didn't get through a few of the times, right?
Oh, I was gone.
Yeah, you went south.
I went south.
Yeah, but yeah, Tim. Just like I was telling Dennis, when you're doing a broadcast, when you're doing a public show, and you're taking calls, and you don't have that safety net, you've got to be prepared to deal with stuff like that. And I thought Mike handled it rather well.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I agree completely.
So, Tim, did you hear the Mike Phillips show?
Yes, I did.
And what did you think of the show overall?
I think it was pretty amateur.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go with that.
I mean, who would run the board so loud that it was overmodulating?
Yeah.
Did you at least get a chuckle out of it?
Yeah.
Well, he was screaming into the mic the entire hour. I mean, energy is one thing, but I mean, an hour straight of. I mean, did you hear Kyle? He was just shouting into the mic.
I've yet to hear the show. I can't wait.
See, these are things that I would say he would need to work on if he ever wanted to have the show be self-sufficient and make money with it, or even get a professional gig.
It's called compression, Mr. Brewstar.
And they do have compression at 1360. We all know that,
Now, as I said, I used to do mornings on the radio station mornings, right? And I even know that you shouldn't have that much energy the entire show.
Well, I'm all for energy. It's just there's a way to do it and a way not to. And Terry Young had energy, but and he still does on XM. But it works. It's just part of his persona. With Mike, I think it could work if he trained himself a bit. It could work. Now, we're doing some market research here, Tim. Would you have ever heard the Mike Phillips show had it not been for us?
No.
See that? Okay, so Mike, if you're listening, there's the proof right there. You just got a listener just because of us. Because we made this mistake with the RJ show last year. We drove all those listeners over and we never documented it.
See, that's what you don't know, Mr. Brewster. I put up flyers in Chicago.
Now what...
I did read a little bit on Radio Insight.
What's that?
Yeah, he did.
See a little bit of it on Radio Insight where he just kept posting and he posted a huge post on it. And I don't even got any posts back about it. Let me check.
Yeah, no, last I saw it didn't have any replies.
Now, you are with Radio Insight, right?
Yeah.
And what do you do for Insight?
I just read the site.
Oh, I thought you were. I'm sorry. I thought you worked with
like a moderator
Lance
or something.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's good. Well, you know where we are now. How'd you find out about us? Through Insight?
Yeah, on Radio Insight, where Julius kept posting about it.
Oh, God bless Julius. Julius is, well, you know,
our biggest fan in Nicetown, Tioga.
I hate the phrase necessary evil, but it might apply here.
Where in the Chicagoland are you?
I'm about 40 miles south.
What town?
Joliet.
Joliet. I know Joliet. That's where the incident happened with the...
at the casino.
Yes, at the Harrah's Riverboat Casino. Something we'll talk about eventually on the show. It has to do with girls.
Yeah,
okay.
Let's see.
You know the story.
Streaming guests on the Party Zone tonight, 9 p.m. 95 views, no replies.
So at least they know who he is, but nobody has anything really to say. Now, the thing with Mike, and we told him, and we're not saying this behind his back, we told him this when he called in last week, was the way he was conducting himself on Radio Info. He was making an ass out of himself, and I think that drove a lot of traffic over there, too. So, I mean, there certainly is no shortage of folks who would want to mess with his show. I mean, he had like 80 posts in 1 week spamming Radio Info about the Party Zone, you know? So, Tim, this is the first time you've ever heard the show? Our show.
What?
Is this the first time you've ever heard our show?
Yeah.
All right, well, is it any good?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Let all your friends know.
That's all I needed to hear.
Yeah, spread the word about it. Post flyers all over Chicago and Joliet for us.
We usually talk more about radio stuff. This week is a bit of an anomaly. We're just chilling here.
And
the kids still say that, right? Chillin'? Is that no more? They don't say that. Mark, you're closer to that generally. The chillin'. Do the kids say that?
It's more about Marc from Connecticut and less about WXCT.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that, Tim. Thank you. What a segue. Now, you are familiar with Marc, I take it, right?
Yeah.
Now, do you know Tim, Marc?
I've seen him on the boards.
Into the mic, please, right in.
I've seen him on the boards.
Yes, okay.
He's seen them. You've been listening to the Mike Phillips show.
But yes, we were talking about this last night on the way back from the Audubon Ale House. Remember? We said, you've got this, and I've even called you out on the boards. I says, listen to me now. I said, Marc has a very borderline unhealthy obsession with a small AM station in Connecticut. And you said it's because it was your favorite station of all time, to which I said, we all have our favorite stations growing up. That doesn't mean we talk about them nonstop. How many posts a week do you think you make where you mention WXCT?
I don't know. Too many.
Well, I know. I guess it's 117. It is the rolling average. I checked. It's 117. Yes. So.
But aren't half of those about the trip to Philadelphia?
That was a big one this week. Now, Tim, if you were on the Radio Racket forum, you saw that 16 threads this week. 16 threads about the Marc and Connecticut trip. That almost didn't happen.
Lots of build-up, lots of excitement.
Yeah, well, you know, we're all about promotion.
I'm keeping with Tim, the blonde, my supervisor, not an escort, but still a female.
He's going through all the
threads. Yeah, there's 16.
Marc and CT at local hotel. Obviously, we're holding SAT.
Yes, George, you built it up very nicely. The in the coming days.
Well, thank you. It was well, especially yesterday. I was posting the news as it happened. We were like, it was breaking news as things developed.
And George, of course, was taking advantage of the fact that Marc had no access to the internet until he discovered the hotel computer.
Yeah, I was pissed when I found out he had that hotel. I said, "Oh, this is great. Marc can't even see what we're doing. This is great. We can build it up."
George, I found a hotel computer.
I said, "Oh, shoot."
I didn't have to bring a laptop. I didn't have to buy one.
Yeah. Well, Tim, thank you for calling in. It's good to have you among the
Yes, welcome.
And we need a name for Tim.
Chicago Tim.
I don't like the way that sounds.
Tim in Chicago. No,
yeah, Tim in Chicago. What do you think?
No, but he's not in Chicago. He's in Joliet or Oswego. That's my favorite town.
But
I don't know if you've heard Mancow, and he always used to make fun of Joliet before he got kicked off of Q101.
Hey, I'm sorry, I didn't get your cell phone cut out. What?
Mancow made fun of Joliet.
Mancow. Yeah, he always used to make fun of Joliet on the show.
Now, you guys don't even get Mancow. He's still in Chicago, but you don't even get him there, right?
And now Joliet's making fun of Mancow.
He doesn't even live in Chicago. in Medford, Oregon.
Why did I think he was in Chicago?
Because that was his flagship. Q101 was his flagship.
Well, they replaced Don Imus with him on a daytime. He's on in Philadelphia now on an AM daytimer. So half the show you miss it in the winter. And I don't know. I sampled a bit of it, and it just didn't do it for me. But I guess he's got a following, or else they wouldn't be selling all those national ads on there. But Tim in Chicago, Chicago Tim.
Hey Tim, do you listen to WCCQ out there?
Chicago. Wow,
no, it's
98.3.
It's really bad quality.
Oh, okay.
They've got two. They run satellite programming overnight.
Is Todd Thompson still working middays down there?
The what?
Todd Thompson. Yeah. He was my favorite jock when I was out there a couple summers ago.
All right, well, Tim, thank you.
A lot of energy. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks for calling.
Chicago. Now, Kyle, we need to work on a name for him.
I
lean, Tim Burke?
I lean more toward Chicago Tim.
I just don't think it sounds right.
But I like Chicago Tim. The only problem is he's not really technically. He's in the Chicago land, but he's not. That's really bordering.
Well, 40 miles is a bit out of the way. Is that still technically Chicago?
It's the DMA, yeah. It is.
I don't know.
For radio and TV.
All right, word is I'm hearing that Marcucci is now in the chat. He is. He has signed up for the This is good. Now, here's what I want to know, because I can't host the show and talk in the chat room, so I count on you guys to if you're not doing anything of import during the show.
Windy City Timmy.
That's not.
I like it. Who came up with that?
It's a little verbose.
I'm Joe.
Windy Timmy or Windy Tim?
He may not like
Windy
that,
Tim Burke?
No. I don't like
that.
All right,
we'll work on it. But no, I'm wondering, here's my question to you. Are all of the Marcucci haters, kids still saying that, right? Haters. Sure.
Yeah.
All of them, yeah.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. All of the Dennis Marcucci haters who are talking stuff about him in the chat. Now that Dennis is there, have they toned it down, or are they firing?
They've ratcheted it up.
They've escalated it.
Oh boy. Oh boy. What happened to the show of love? We gave up on that, right? We're not doing that anymore. That's canceled.
We sell one thing on this show: love.
I like that. Where'd that come from?
That's on the new soundboard.
Oh man, that's good. Well, that's good. All right, Philadelphia, 215-609-4315. New York and everywhere else. New York.
So you've got NJC on the brain. That's the problem.
New York.
That's the problem right there.
See, that's the trouble.
Matt Berman has a wonderful suggestion. Tim Burke, the sausage king of Chicago.
That's way too verbose. I get the reference, but...
What's
like my T-shirt.
Well, yeah.
It's a movie, right?
Abe Froman.
Oh.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
718-841-7702 New York and everywhere else. I would like to take this opportunity
actually
to talk.
Your better half makes a good point in the chat. The show is of love. The board is not. It's the board of hate.
Yeah, see, I don't like that. The board is an extension of the show, though.
The board of hate. I like it.
All right, I would like to take this opportunity.
Burker Jr.'s back.
Why is he using the name Trish?
I don't know.
Because he's retarded.
That cannot continue. Because that's misleading. I mean, Mike, we'd love to have you, but you got to come up with another name. We already have a Trish. And Trish is a big fan of the show. She's, I think she's on his MySpace. In fact, Trish, call in tonight and tell us what that's all about. Okay.
Yeah, I want him to call in.
All right. I would like to take this opportunity to talk about. It's sort of like this is my state of the stream speech.
State of the stream.
Now, as you know, we have had, specifically on the weekend replays, we have had considerable trouble with our server, with our stream.
Indeed.
For the weekend replays. As you also know, in recent weeks, I would say the last 6 to 8 weeks, it has been particularly damning.
And terrible.
And I am just letting you know, for all of the people out there, Jeff.
Yes, George.
Kyle. For all of the people out there who say, well, Bruce Starr plays disc, or for Bruce Starr doesn't get it done. Bruce Starr, he's all talk. well, when will we get the stream fixed? Oh, that'll happen in 10 years if it
You're a
happens at
bunch of
all.
fools.
How's it going to happen when he doesn't wake up until noon? Yeah,
Noon?
On a good day, noon, yeah. So, you know, all of that stuff. You know what I mean. I am letting you know that tonight, or this weekend, most likely, it's almost a sad occasion when you think about it. Billy Joel did a song that said, "Say goodbye to Spatial Net." No, what was this song called?
Oh, wait, that was Hollywood.
Have any of you guys been to Hollywood?
This most likely will be the last weekend with this stream.
Oh, bless the good Lord.
Or at the very least, there will be... Here's what's happening. There is a new provider, okay? And we have quietly been running the new stream for almost a week now. And it's not public yet, but it's been in test mode, and it's doing very, very well. Let's just say this, Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
It was launched, I think, Tuesday.
Has it crashed yet?
It is still on.
That's a good sign.
It has not stopped.
Although, to play devil's advocate, Saturday is the most stressful day for the stream, because that's when most people are listening.
Well, we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. But I think you're going to like this. Now, here's what we're going to do. I know many of you have direct bookmarks to the Audio 18 stream, right? I'll need you to not do that in the coming weeks, because one day it just may be gone. Now, we're going to simulcast in the beginning on both servers, just until everyone has made the move over to the new server. We may keep both. I don't know. As listenership goes up, we would have needed to expand anyway. So maybe instead of expanding with the existing provider, we'll simply split the bandwidth. I don't know exactly how we're doing this.
Good idea.
But the new stream is up. It's in test mode, I guess you could call it. It's working very well. And it actually has even higher capacity than the one we've been running now. And the gentleman who, and once we get all of this public, hopefully I can get him to come on with us and inaugurate the stream. The gentleman who helped set all of this up sounds like a really cool guy, and he knows what he's doing. And
Racketeer?
No, not yet. But he has assured me. He said, "Well, I should tell you, I think our things crashed 4 or 5 times since we started the business." He's been doing this for a number of years. They don't have outages, and all of those times they were natural disasters, or whatever, and they haven't had an outage in a long time. So right now, not only are we running that new stream in test mode, but as part of the deal, we have special proprietary software. We're not using the same Windows media encoder that we used to use. There's now a special software that we have. And are you ready for this, Roscoe?
Oh, I know what you're going to say. Go ahead and say it.
Yeah.
This is very exciting.
If the stream does go down, and it's not supposed to, but let's say on our end, let's say we lose our connection to the internet. Let's say something goes wrong here.
And George is asleep and away from the stream and cannot attend
let's say
to it.
I'm at home, I'm asleep, I'm dreaming of, puppy dogs and things.
Playing with baby.
This software, yes, it has the automatic reconnect.
All right, that's what I've been waiting for.
And I have already tested it by literally yanking...
Crashing the stream.
Literally yanking the internet cord, the Ethernet cable.
Oh, that's funny.
Out of the modem that goes to the streaming computer.
And it just keeps trying to reconnect.
I watched the stream crash, and then I plugged it back in. Ordinarily, it would have been down until someone drove back to the Sonic Set building and fixed it, and I watched it every 8 seconds trying to reconnect it, and as soon as the internet was back on, we were back on within 40 seconds.
Kyle, I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone.
It's amazing.
It is. It's scary almost.
So I'm just letting everyone know
this is very weird.
Remember a few weeks ago, I said to you guys, these problems will be fixed. Just give me some time. We're working on it. Things will be getting better, and they are. So we're not ready to, as Mike was saying, to unveil this the the new provider, but we're going to do it, I would hope, by next week, sometime during the week.
Keep on keeping on.
Now,
as the black computer guys would say.
Now, I got some email about that, too. I'll tell you about that in a moment. But no, seriously, this next week, now, of course, next week, the timing of this could have been a bit better, because next week we've got the big-time remote on Thursday. First ever live remote.
Yes, that'll be exciting as well.
History. And that's happening at the Audubon Ale House, the Sports Mic, Dan Alisi and Andy Forston, broadcasting live, talking sports with you from 7 to 9 at the Audubon Ale House Thursday.
Consulting engineer Dino swears up and down there will be no problems.
Dino is good, and if he says it'll work, it'll work.
I believe him.
I don't know how, but he says it's going to work.
Dino built a studio all by himself. He knows what he's doing.
So we're going to see what happens with that. And I'm not sure, at some point within the next 10 days, I would imagine, we'll be unveiling the new Audio 18 stream, and you'll need to change if you have it directly bookmarked, you'll need to change that, although I think we will be simulcasting on both servers for at least a short time until everyone gets over.
All right? So I'm looking forward to that.
That's
and this takes effect
there.
When?
You didn't hear a word I just said.
I don't listen to the show.
In the next 10 days, we're hoping we'll be able to pull this off.
All right.
215-609-4315 in Philadelphia. We had someone waiting. I was about to go to the call, but they hung up.
I think that was Junior.
Now, what are we calling him? Are we not calling him that?
Mike is
just call him Mike? 1360 Mike?
But what about me?
Yeah, it's true. We already have a Mike. Mike's a common name.
And I'm not brokered.
I mean, any show's going to have more than one Mike listening.
I don't pay for my phone calls to the show.
I'm sure there's probably several Marks listening. Now, Mark.
Yeah, but he's Marc in Connecticut.
That's true, and we always call him that. Mark, don't forget. Look, next hour. It's too late in the hour to get. Next hour, I'm going to tell you what Mark told me his mother said about us.
Oh, yes.
Next hour.
Uh-oh.
All right, next hour.
Are we in trouble, Mark?
Is your mom available?
No. Next hour.
Is she hot?
Don't say that's not nice.
That's nasty.
Yeah.
A guy will not say that his mother's hot.
Now, we've had this conversation already. Some people can see the attractiveness in their own mothers.
To the Philadelphia line. Audio 18, you're on the Racket.
Good evening, Mr. Brewster.
Hello. Mike Phillips on. I'm okay.
Hello.
I love how he says Mr. Brewster.
Mike's cool.
He's showing you respect.
All right. Mike, what's going on there? Now, you've got show number 1. It's in the bag. I heard it. I heard it. I couldn't hear it live, of course. And I'll never be able to hear it live unless you move your time slot. So I heard it today. Diamond Joe at the Cockroach, you know, the AM 930, the Cockroach. He carries you, right?
Yes, he does.
He was nice enough to email me the media so that I could hear it. So I heard it tonight. So I have heard the show. Kyle, you heard, about half?
I heard about half.
And Roscoe didn't hear any of it, but, well, you heard some of it on hold, I presume. But
did you hear the highlight, though, about when somebody called trying to impose his RJ, what I did to them?
I heard that, and that was not you, Jeff. That was somebody else, right? Who was that? We don't even know who that was.
I haven't listened to the show.
We believe that it's somebody from Port Richmond background.
Okay. So how would they know who RJ is? Nobody knows RJ.
A poor person in Port Richmond?
Oh, no. I never said that remark, and it was just a fellow neighborhood person that decided that, like George was mentioning, there was a front page story on the Star, and that was one of the promoting avenues. And you ask about, why my voice was so loud, I'm going to tell you right now.
Okay.
It was a producer who was running the board, not me.
You should tell her to turn your mic down.
No. It wasn't that was Tim in Chicago had said that the level, was it Tim? Who said the level was too high? I was talking not about the microphone setting. I'm talking about the fact that you were shouting into the mic. Like, you can just tell the difference. You were literally, shouting at people on the mic. Now, maybe that's just your style. I mean, you're kind of doing it right now. I don't mind it on the phone, but for an hour, it was just kind of,
fatiguing.
Well, you know what? I heard the tape back, actually the CD back. And
what did you think?
Well, I honestly believe it's a work in progress. I'll go on record as saying that this program is a uphill battle. And I have a lot to learn, I'll admit to that. But I'll tell you one thing that did happen positive last night was when I unveiled Kim Douglas as my mystery guest.
Well, yeah, we heard that, and that was good. It was good that she came on with you. Now, what the hell happened with the Dan Gross? He stood you up, right?
And the ball girls.
I posted the email. I know you said we shouldn't do that, but
Yeah, Kyle was saying he apologized. I guess he just forgot.
Right. I just wanted everybody to see that he officially did apologize. He didn't stand me up. He just flat out forgot.
Okay. All right.
But now, it did affect the product of the quality of the show because he was penciled in for that segment. As you could tell, I was running it by segments, and I had to fill a solid 25 minutes because he was the main guest.
Do you think it hurt your cum?
Well, I think it hurt the quality of the product of the program.
Well, what about the TSL?
Well, no. Let me say this.
Or the AQA.
I believe that Scott Graham, the segment with him was perfect. That segment went great with him and Jerry. The chemistry between them two. I mean, a lot of people were saying they didn't enjoy it, but I'll tell you, Jerry is a character in himself.
Sports
He's a perfect guy to have on.
We all know Sports Jerry, but I mean, Kyle used to work at WIP.
No, this isn't the same guy, George. This guy Jerry is different. He's a guy who's strictly a baseball guy. He's brand new. This guy.
Wait. What do you mean brand new? You said he's been here for 40 years. You said it on the show. That wasn't Sports Jerry?
He's been a Phillies fan for 40 years. That's what he said.
Wait, you're telling me that was not Sports Jerry?
No, this guy was a character that I had, I was ready to unveil him on a brand new show last night.
All right, Kyle, I take that. I called Kyle and I said, Sports Jerry is the first voice on there.
Oh, so he was unveiled.
All right.
Right, this guy's been bugging me for CDs because I gave him the opportunity to go on with Scott Graham at the top of the show. He's been emailing me for, he wants 10 copies for his buddies in Wilmington.
Wilmington? All right.
That's where he's from. He's from Delaware.
Oh, but how come we've never heard of this guy?
Down there in Delaware.
Maybe we have.
Poor
we just
people
don't realize
Delaware.
it, Probably saw him at the Blue Rocks game or something. All right, so you had Scott Graham on. Now, here's my question to you, Mike. And I brought this up earlier in the show. I don't know if you heard earlier in the show. I said, why was it last week when you were talking about Tom McCarthy and we said we had Scott Graham on, you were kind of poo-pooing the fact that we had Scott. Well, Scott's not as good of a guest as Tom McCarthy, and he's no good. He parties and this. And then...
Yes, we got Scott Graham.
Later, you've got Scott Graham on.
Well, guess what? Tom McCarthy's coming on this week. He had a scheduling conflict that he couldn't make it on the first show.
Yeah, but you're not answering the question.
Yeah, you're not answering the question.
Well, I'm telling you how I booked the program.
We only have a minute before the news, so we only have a minute before the news. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I'll finish off real quick then. Scott Graham agreed last minute to come on the program, so I went with it. I put him on, and we kicked the show off, and that's the way. In the end, Scott Graham and me, as you can tell, have good on-air chemistry.
All right. Now you...
No, nothing like that. I'm talking about as far as the quality of a radio program.
Oh, I understand. Okay, so but you understand what I'm saying, guys, right? It's like when we had Scott Graham, he sucked, but now Mike has Scott Graham on, and he's the best thing in the world.
It's spectacular.
Well, I've known this guy for a long time now.
You've already dialed us.
Well, then why?
We happened to have him on within weeks of him being let go by the Phillies.
When it was still very
I understand that, but I wanted to interview him where he was. I asked him the question, where have you been? What are you up to?
That's good work by you.
Yeah, I don't think we ask those questions, do we?
No, I
updated people. He has a big following in the area, so I updated everybody on it.
All right, well, that's good. Now, how well do you think you did listener-wise? Did you get the stats from the website?
Actually, I don't really toot my own horn like that. You know what I mean? I put the program out there, and I base it on feedback and as far as people, who call into the program.
Did you get more than 100 listeners, do you think?
In my opinion, I would say somewhere between 100 and 200 listeners total, and most of them from the internet, and I will give you guys credit, most of them probably from your program.
Oh, well, hey, Mike, seriously, I mean, as much as we were kind of messing with you still, I mean, we
appreciate that.
Yeah,
you're being straight up. That's cool.
We want to see this thing work. I mean, we don't want to see you go off the air in 2 weeks. We want to see you stick around.
Yeah, because you give us good fodder for the show.
I mean, we want it to succeed, So.
I'll come back. You know what? I'll come back later in the night. I know you're running late for the news, so I'll catch up with you later in the night.
Well, call us back and tell us who else you're going to unveil.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Yeah, later on tonight I'll call back.
Mike Phillips. From 1360.
The Party Zone.
Sonic Zone owned and
All this
operated.
unveiling is getting me hungry.
18 America, we're coming back after the news from the Voice of America. Okay.